Lately, I've caught myself spending a lot more time thinking about what you can do to legally cut your tax bill. I think it's because the cost of living crisis and people are finding the threshold that there's a limit to how much you can cut your spending and how much you can sacrifice. But tax is one of those levers that allows you to get more money without sacrificing anything. So I wanted to talk about the tax cuts that are coming up in just a couple of months' time. There was a lot of talk coming out at the time that the tax cuts were released, but that's since died off and there's still quite a lot of confusion about whether these tax cuts are good or bad. So I wanted to unpack the key things that you need to know. The first thing to call out is that everyone is better off and no one is worse off. So that should make you feel good. The second thing is that because the tax cuts are going down from 1 July, it means that any tax deductions that fall on before 30 June are going to be worth more than they will be from 1 July and potentially more than they ever will again. It also means getting the money back a full year sooner because it falls into this year's tax return as opposed to next. Now, if you earn above $135,000 in Australia, you're going to get a tax cut, but it's going to be less than what it was previously. If you earn above $190,000, it's going to be potentially $4,500 less than what was promised. But at that level, the tax cuts are still pretty chunky at $4,500, which I know was put in place to cut out bracket creep, but there's still a decent amount of money on the table there. The other thing that you need to know is that the tax strategies that made sense under the old tax rules, so super contributions, franked dividends, debt recycling, negative gearing, they all still make sense under the new tax rules and pretty much just as much sense as they did before. What that means is that you probably won't need to change a lot in your tax strategy. That being said, tax structures are more and more valuable because with the tax rates coming down and these thresholds there, things like family trusts are going to be beneficial for fewer people. Things like investment bonds might be beneficial for even more people than they were before.